Your first impression gets you through the door and is what you know that will keep you inside of the building. Welcome, everybody, to the Justin and No podcast, where we make knowledge your strongest weapon. And for you guys that don't know, my name is Justin, or Just Knows, and I'm all about trying to make people better with a little bit of knowledge that you can learn every single day. And I have my friend over here. If you'd like to introduce yourself to the people.
Yes, sir. What's up, folks? My name is Nas, and me and Just like he said, we've been friends for quite a long time now.
Yes. All right, so just to start off everything, we're going to go into a couple of topics that, might relate to you, might not relate to you, but it will relate to you in the future. And now,
Absolutely.
I would say this. Everybody has a mission in life. Everybody should have an end goal in life. And nowadays, we're very distracted upon achieving our end goal. And Nas, what would you say are some big distractions in people's life that deter them away from their main goal?
I'm going to start off with the simplest of answers. And the only trick to it is that a lot of people don't like to hold themselves accountable to this, but it's opposite gender approval, meaning male looking for female approval, female looking for male approval. It's one of the biggest distractions, the most common, the simplest to fall victim to. And what ways am I speaking of? Basically, we wake up, some people, routine is important. Some people wake up and they don't really know how their day is going to go. They don't really know how they're going to tackle their day. They don't even put any thought to it. Just wake up. I'm going to just go about my day. I'm going to go to work. And they don't realize the significance of all their behaviors, all their interactions. They might just have a small little exchange with somebody and that'll throw them off their rhythm. Slack a little bit in something they were doing and it'll set them behind a day or two. And it's very easy to fall victim to those things. So we want to be mindful. And we want to always wake up and remind ourselves to stay away from these small little distractions that have big consequences.
Of course. And now I would say, I think attention, it's one of the biggest distractions of our entire, our generation and, generations that's going to happen in the future. And just in life in general, like attraction. Attention is one of the most biggest distractions because that's what people chase all the time. People die over attention. You know what I'm saying? And it's not a good thing at all. If you are focused on seeking attention, you will never attract anything in life because you're always chasing something that is not meant to be chased. It's only meant to be attracted.
Absolutely. There's so many people that I know, he knows. There's somebody, more than somebody, there's some bodies around us that we see a lot of potential in. We may think very highly of.
Of course.
But what do we see them fall victim to time and time again? Distractions. They're distracted by hanging out with friends to do meaningless things, insignificant things. Nobody said don't have fun in life, but you want to, in order to make the most of it in this short time, unguaranteed amount of time that we have, we're not even sure how long we're going to be here for. And we're over here wasting it on these very fleeting distractions. We'll instead of finding 5 times a week to read something that'll benefit us or listen to an audio that'll benefit us, we'll find 10 times a week to go out and have insignificant interactions with people that we actually really don't care too much about.
Yeah, that, and sometimes people hang around others just for the moment of the now and for the fun that they have. But sometimes you got to sit and really think as a person trying to improve. Is my interaction with these people going to benefit my future? That is a very big thing. Because if you actually take your actions and your occurrences of where you put yourself in life, and if they don't benefit your future, sometimes you don't even want to do it at all because it may feel fun now, but you're gonna pay for it later. In the fact of you could have been doing something more beneficial to um, heighten your status or your place in the future.
Yeah. For me to expand a little bit more on what I was saying, basically, I we're not calling anybody out here. We just all know a person that's of this type.
Of course.
Let's relate the friend who has a lot of the male friend. Guys could relate to this, and then women, you do the same thing with respect to female friends you have. Now, as a male, I have male friends that not only do they receive a lot of female attention, they also seek it. You know, they'll do basically anything for it. And I don't want to say they're desperate, but it's just that they see that as a joy in life. And they don't realize that it's so temporary, and that joy that they're looking for in these countless interactions with women, this endless chase of women, that they'll find so much more joy in doing things to better themselves.
Yeah.
So, you know, the friend who is always around women, see where they're at in life. And then the friend who's to himself, always focused, doing his thing, on top of his responsibilities, bettering himself, finding ways to move up, move forward in life. And just compare the two, see where they're at. And without me having a, you know, single anybody out, or you having a single anybody out, I'm sure it'll automatically click as to how the person who doesn't have as many distractions is probably way better off in life.
Yes, that is true. And I also will say, terms of attention, social media is one of the biggest distractions of all time.
Good and bad.
Yeah, it could be very beneficial to heighten your brand if you're using it for business purposes, but on a personal level, it could be used as a detriment.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people nowadays are just doing things just to attract other people's attention. But at the end of the day, people don't care. They really don't. They may say, you know, one negative thing there or one positive thing there, but at the end of the day, it really never amounts to anything. And social media make everybody's attention spans very short. So they may care about you today or may care about you in that second, but after that, it's pointless. It really is.
Yeah, it's back to what I was saying about the insignificant, meaningless interactions. We don't want to wake up, or at least I don't, and hopefully somebody else might see this as useful information, beneficial information, better your life. I try to wake up every day, and I remind myself that even if it's very small, as little as 2, 3, 5 minutes, the interactions that I'm having with someone, I want them to be meaningful. Even if it's not a big deal, meaningful doesn't have to mean a big deal. It could be just a small positive reinforcement to your day. I had a pleasant interaction with somebody, a stranger. I went to the store and I had a pleasant interaction with the stranger, rather than like, you know, frowning and like, you know, making a face and just like not being approachable. Those little things, those little details, from having a insignificant interaction to having a meaningful interaction, whether even if it's as little as 2, 3 minutes, those could be huge on your day, because just subliminally, without you really paying much mind to it, it builds like a routine of like energy that you're putting out and that you're receiving. So
Of course.
if you're doing everything that you're doing is insignificant, isn't leading to anything, then how is what is going to return to you going to be significant? It won't be.
It won't at all. And I would say this, you know, you got to think of a lot of your choices as a scale, right? Is what I'm doing right now going to benefit me? Now, people have to understand that consistency is a big thing. So every action that you take that doesn't benefit your future will add up to nothing in a couple of years. So you have to focus on things that benefit you for the future if you plan on living a long-term life. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you may think that it's good now, but you're going to regret it later when you're older and you said like, man, I should have did this, or I should have changed the way how I thought about that so I could attain where I want to be. Because at the end of the day, this life game, it's a game, literally. This life, it's for the long term. You have to live with your actions that you did in your past life, and you have to learn to keep moving forward every single day. Because if you don't, then you're gonna just be stuck on regret and just staying in the same place for the rest of your life. And most people don't want that.
Yeah, I agree. Take it from me, man. We're not gonna go into too much detail, but I was at a point one time where I was doing a lot of meaningless, insignificant shit. Excuse the language. And I don't want to say I just woke up one day, but we'll just use that for simplicity's purpose. But I woke up one day and I said, everything that I do, minor, major, in between, little details from brushing my teeth to the way I shower to how much time I spend in the shower, little things like that. I said I want all that to have some significance to it, some meaning, some purpose to it. I don't want to just do something and when I'm done with it, that's it. It doesn't have any effect past the 5 minutes I spent doing it. It has to be something, whether it's a mental influence, whether it's a physical influence, whether it's a financial influence.
Of course.
It has to have some sort of significance. So you don't want to relegate yourself to the type of person who just wakes up and goes through the motions, and you don't even like. Imagine me just saying this right now. If you are one of those people, just wake up and just go through the motions, like, I'm sure it'll strike some nerve, and hopefully it's in a good way, that it'll encourage you to get up and make everything meaningful rather than just whatever. Whatever is one of my least favorite words, by the way. I hate that word, whatever. Nothing is whatever. Everything is something.
Yeah, everything has a purpose in life. Everything really does. Now, going to kind of like the next topic of distractions and stuff like that, and people wanting attention. Presentation, right? Presentation is a huge thing. They say that we're not to judge a book by its cover, but we're all judged. We're all judged in the people that we confide in. We are judged on the way how we speak. We're judged on the way that we present ourselves. And I would say this: you have to present yourself in a way that you want to be treated by others, but don't judge anyone else, because you never know. The person might not present themselves to be this, or may present themselves to be that. Could be a totally different person. And what you think about that?
Yeah, I'm sure there's some people who are thinking of like, oh, why would we present ourselves a certain way and then not worry about how somebody else is presenting themselves and not judge them based off that? Well, let me tell you why. Now, there's multiple ways of living your life, right? But there's the optimal way. There's the less optimal way. So what we're trying to target here, going back to what we were first speaking of, we want to make the most out of our life, right? Making the most out of our life consists of doing these type of things. One of them being exactly what just explained to us.
Yeah.
No pun intended there. So, yeah, you might not want to judge somebody, but don't think the next person isn't judging you.
Of course.
Like, you don't want to be sloppy or seem like you're incapable or not able to understand to their level. So you always want to present yourself somebody who's attentive, somebody who's efficient in terms of the way you think, the way you approach things. You don't want to be sloppy, and you, in order to make the most out of your interactions, you never know what kind of businessship, friendship, what kind of relationship at all you might end up having with somebody based off of how you were acting or how you presented yourself. And yeah, you might not want to ever count someone out based off of how they presented themselves. That's you being the better person. You're living life more optimally. But you got to remember that the next person is judging you based off how you're presenting yourself. Don't ever let that go over your head, because no matter how much we're preaching not to judge the next person, somebody in front of you that you're dealing with is judging you based off of their first impression, second impression of you.
And speaking of first impressions, right? And I would say this, and it's something that you guys can take away from this video if you didn't listen to anything else. Your first impression, which is your presentation, gets you the opportunity, gets you through the door. So your first impression gets you through the door and is what you know that will keep you inside of the building.
Yes, sir. I like how you said that, because a lot of people think as soon as you get in that door, you're good. Nah, you could always get kicked out.
Yes. As easy as you came in is as easy as you can come out, because you can come inside of the door and put your first 2 feet in the door from your presentation, but from what you say and what you know can have them about face and you could be right out that same door. So you have to present yourself well, and you also have to be capable and competent in what you're preaching or what you're saying, so that people could listen, understand, and confide into you.
Yeah, you want to be multifaceted. You don't want to have just one. I don't want to say like, oh, you want to have multiple personalities, but you want to be able to connect with different types of personalities.
Of course.
You want to be able to cater to that. Like, for example, you're not going to deal with a hothead. This is a little bit off topic, but just relating the two. You're not going to deal with a hothead
All
the
the
same
time.
way you're going to deal with somebody who's very calm and understanding and cool, and cool, calm, cool, and collected. You're gonna approach those two people differently. You're not gonna approach a teacher the same way you're gonna approach like a policeman. You got to be able to cater to. It's probably a bad analogy, but I'm pretty sure they get the point. You want to be able to cater and speak and connect with different type of personalities. So
Of course.
you can't present yourself always the same way. When you are in a certain setting or trying to attain a certain goal, like with the person in front of you, like, okay, I want to strike a business shift, for example. I'm not going to sit here and talk about like religious beliefs, and then even though that might be something that's like normal to you or about anything else, or you want to date this person, you're not going to sit there and talk about business as soon as you talk to them.
Yeah, you have to know your setting and know what you're speaking to or who you're speaking to at the current time, because there's certain conversations that need to be had, but there's certain settings where it shouldn't be said, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So it's one of those things we got to be mindful of. Like, yeah, we ideally, the person in front of us shouldn't judge you. The person in front of you shouldn't judge you based off of the first few words you say, the first few sentences that come out of your mouth. But just consider that they will. Just treat it as if they will. And then you, in return, being a better person, living life more optimally, you don't judge them, because you never know. Maybe they're so comfortable in their life that they don't care how they present themselves to you. So you might see them as they're presenting themselves as incapable, and that's just because they don't care to give you a good first impression, or they're just being themselves because they no longer need to cater to those rules. They already got further in life than you're currently at, and they don't need to abide by those certain, takes on how to behave in order to reach that certain place in life that you want. When I'm in a place where I intend hopefully to get to, I don't care how A, B, and C see me. I don't give a shit. But right now, I need A, to treat me with some respect and to think that I'm capable. I need B, to see the potential I have as a business partner. I need C, to see me as a potential husband, for example, even though it's not any of my concern right now. But, you need people to see you as a certain way in order for you to get to where you want to be.
Yeah,
and then when you get there, you can tell them, fuck them.
So I would say this: when it comes to presentation and when it comes to first impression, your presentation should be dictated on your end goal and what you want out of that conversation or situation, right? So if you want to get a business deal, you have to present yourself professionally, because there's no way that you're going to sit next to another business owner that takes their business and job seriously, that they're going to look at you, right? Okay, so they're going to look at you, and if you're not presented well, they're going to say in their head that you're not taking this seriously. Why are you wasting my time? So The presentation shows who you are as a person for me to think like, okay, now you're worth my time talking to. Now it's what you say after that. It's what's going to keep the conversation going. But you need to be able to present yourself well in order for you to even get that conversation in the first place. So if you want to be successful in life, you have to work on how you present yourself to people, because you never know. An opportunity could be around the corner and you didn't place yourself in that opportunity because of the way how you present yourself. Now, another thing, don't short yourself because you don't know how to articulate yourself in those opportunities also. So at all times, you have to be aware of your surroundings and your situations and know how to talk and know how to communicate with people, because communication is the foundation of action and people getting things done. Because without communication, nothing works well. So actually talking about communication, right? That's going to be in one of our other topics, right? How important is communication when it comes to operating in the world or with your family or relationships of that sort, anything?
All right. So the things I'm going to speak on regarding communication, I'm going to leave out significant others because that I feel like that's its own unique form of communication.
Of course, because it's different.
Yeah, it's different. It's unique. And also, I'm not the best person to be giving relationship advice because I see a lot of wrong with the type of relationships people are looking for or engaging in currently. So I'm not going to speak too much about relationships. But communication, for example, in work efforts and entrepreneurial efforts.
Okay.
All right. So you have somebody, I don't know, let's just say you want to potentially do business with them. Potential. You haven't started yet. You guys don't have any money put together, no ideas that are connected, and didn't start anything. You're looking to. You intend to, right? Now, you're getting into a car sales business, right? And you wouldn't know how that person approaches the car sales unless you were kind of to ask. You kind of have to ask, right? And what I mean by that is, just to make it a little bit more simpler. Let's say they look for, instead of volume, they're looking for just like maximizing the profit. So every car, they want to make the most amount of profit on it as possible. Instead of, I want to sell the most amount of cars. There's a little bit of difference. The profit margin, they want it to be huge. They don't really care about volume. And then you, as a salesperson, as a sales mind, you may see it, approach it as in like, I just want volume. I don't care. I'll get 100 cars and I'll sell 50 of them this week and make only 500 on each of them. And that's totally fine for me. So you guys need to be able to communicate that beforehand.
Yeah.
Like that needs to be known, because even though it might not seem like it's a big deal, imagine you growing from 1 lot to 10 lots. And now you're talking about millions of dollars, like tens of millions of dollars, right? And you guys have conflicting strategies, approaches to the business. Eventually, it's going to create some type of rift.
Yeah.
So you want to be really clear on that. You don't want to just jump into something without understanding. See, and I didn't mention anything about knowing what type of person they are. As long as you know they're honest, they're trustworthy. You don't need to know. It doesn't matter what they do in their house. It's all business related. Yes. You just want to know that you guys are business minded, are like minded in business.
Yeah. And you might not, I'll say you might not compare, or you might not confide in the same things on a business level, right? But it's called compromising, and communication starts that. And the person's not going to know what you want unless you say it. And then you could work out and see whether it's capable for you guys to come to a middle ground, or you guys go your separate ways. Because it's better to communicate your boundaries and what you want out of this relationship first than to go into the relationship without stating these things and then having a conflict on the back end, and then it's going to just fall away. You just wasted time.
Yeah, it spirals out of control. And now you guys don't, you wouldn't even know where you went wrong, because
You guys didn't communicate it.
if you knew where you went wrong, it probably would have never went wrong.
Yeah.
So, you're just one person blaming the next and saying, oh, this or that. It creates a lot of unnecessary conflict that could have been avoided. How? By simple communication. This isn't no crazy method. We're not over here spitting like scientific evidence that's never been revealed to you before. These are simple things that basically we're just trying to be reminders of. And before we remind any of you, I'm trying to remind him, he's trying to remind me.
Yeah, we
so
gotta
when we're
remind
speaking,
ourselves.
we're speaking to each other before we're speaking to any of the viewers.
Yes.
I'm gonna be completely honest, because there's a lot of these things that we might be speaking about that somebody may get the misconception that we may think that, oh, we've gotten there or we've did that. No, this is our way of exercising, reminding each other.
Yes.
Of holding each other accountable, holding
Yes.
each other to a high standard.
Yes.
Of like, hey, bro, don't forget this. Hey,
Yes.
bro, don't forget to apply this to your everyday life.
Yes.
This is what we're doing here. And then secondly, we're trying to influence the next person.
Yes, because I would say life is a bunch of repetition. The only way that you get something right, and you will never truly get something correctly perfect, because we're not all perfect. We'll never be perfect in a situation. We'll just be
Maybe one day.
better. We just be better, improving, right? Or we just improve upon what we know. But we have to remind ourselves every single day through repetition, so that we make less mistakes than what we made before.
Yeah, you don't want to, like I said, it all goes back to waking up and seeing significance in everything you do. So communication is one of them. The way you communicate, the way you choose to communicate or you choose not to communicate, that's very significant in everything that you do. Like, I'll give you a good example. Maybe only college students will relate to this as much. But anyway, anybody who studied university, college, whatever it was, even trade school, I'm sure, I'm not guessing, this isn't a guess, I am sure that the people who performed the best were constantly engaging with other people, classmates, teachers, assistants, whatever they call them, wherever you were attending. The people who actively communicated and exchanged thoughts and went back and forth with more people probably performed and had the best results.
Yeah.
The person who stayed to themselves and just tried to handle everything themselves and, oh, I got it and I don't need nobody, that is a poisonous way of thinking.
Yeah.
Actually, absolutely poisonous.
I would say this about that, right? And this goes for life as well, because they say, you could be all bad by yourself and this, that, and third. Yes. So you can do things by yourself, right?
Yeah.
But it's going to take you a longer time for you to figure out your mistakes and what works with you until you reach your end goal. But if you communicate with others, maybe they went through the same type of ordeal you have, and they can tell you from their mistakes what to do and what not to do. And then now you take less time in trying to obtain a goal when somebody already tried it within the same time that you're trying to obtain that goal. And now you piggyback off of what they just told you and apply it to your life, and maybe you become successful. So that's why communication is a big thing, and people need to talk more, because we can all do better together from learning from each other. And I would say this, you can learn something from anybody.
Yes, sir.
Don't think that you're above someone or you're below someone. Everybody's on an equal playing field. One just has more experience than you, and it's all time. We all take time to gain experience, and we can all learn from each other. And that's the only way that we get better, through communication.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. And again, don't let this be something that you see as like life. When I say let this be, I'm talking about don't let life be something that you approach so selfishly to the point where you're shorting yourself, because not just your ego, your feeling of like self-independence. Like, there's no such thing as I depend on myself. Like, you might be the biggest provider for yourself, but you're not the only provider for yourself.
Yeah.
Somebody in your life provides you with something that you need, that without them, your life would be of lower quality. So you can't convince yourself when you wake up, when you go to bed, any point in the day, that you're doing this shit by yourself, because you're not.
Yeah, it's okay. Put like this, and I'm gonna say this to wrap up the show a little bit. In history, right? No government system, no colony, no army, no group was formed by one person alone. They had to have a supporting cast. You may be a leader or you may be a follower, but you have to depend on someone else for a collective to get better. Because if it was just you trying to build a building, trying to pave the roads, pave the city, you'll perish before you even get there. So you have to confide in other people and find your strengths and find your weaknesses and communicate in order for you to prevail. So, as ending the show, anything you want to say to the people?
What I do want to say, and I'm going to continue to make this a point of emphasis, is don't ever see somebody saying anything that may strike you. Try not to take it personal. It's very hard, by the way. This isn't something that's easy. Don't take things personal. Take it all as, even if it is personal. How about that? Even if you do feel like it's personal, even if you have reason to believe that something is personal, take everything with a grain of salt. Take it as constructive criticism. Why? Because that's how you make the best out of the things that are coming your way. Like if I see what he said or something he said bothered me and it fueled me to do better versus it made me angry or resent him or resentful towards him, then I just made the best out of my situation. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to encourage each other, from me encouraging him encouraging me, us encouraging you guys to make the best out of everything that we go through in life.
Of course, of course. So if you guys found anything valuable of what we said throughout this entire podcast, please leave a like, leave a comment on what you think about what we said or what other topics you would like us to speak about. And I need you guys to share this video to anyone else you think is like-minded and can benefit from what we said. And also, I need you guys to subscribe to the channel because we're planning to drop a lot more content as the days go by.
Peace.
This has been the Just in the Know podcast, where we make knowledge your strongest weapon.
God bless, folks.
Peace.
So who do I kill?